predictably out of the game if he was hurt that much, right? At this point, he could be icing it, could be off the floor, could have his leg up somewhere, but he's stayed loose on the bike. He has not left the gym, and now he's on the bench, at the very least, cheerleading.
So Rivera hits both. He's a 50% proposition this year. Ties the game at 50. Just under 8 minutes to play in the Bronx. 3 from Huffman. Grant Huffman. Another starring second half for Davidson on the road.
But that's the thing that you'll give him often. You'd rather him take that 3 than drive and finish or drive and dump off for an easier 2 for somebody else.
Rivera bouncing as he nearly fell off the line. Timbilla splashes off the window.
And Henry Lowe, one of Keith Urgo's assistants, basically kind of said that same thing to his head coach after Huffman knocked down that 3.
Huffman, everyone went and gravitated toward him, and Bailey was alone with the putback.
And now Coach Urgo is yelling why at Timbilla because he went for the block that he was probably never going to get, and that leaves the easy putback.
Zach Riley getting extended time, tipped away by Cochera. Davidson 500 or better the last 22 seasons. 40 days without a loss. 7 straight wins, then non-conference. But 0-3 in the A-10 for the first time since they joined the conference. Trying to get a win here on Rose Hill. Bailey high off the glass. Timbilla forced that a tad higher than necessary.
And Davidson's asking for a goaltend because Timbilla slapped the backboard going for the block, and the backboard was shaking when the ball came off.
And Matt McKillop is still yelling to the official for that reason. Actually, I agree with him on this. Certainly altered when that ball came off the glass and hit the rim, didn't it?
But I have to be honest, Mike, and McKillop is still asking, and now the Davidson faithful behind the bench making noise. Well, I actually don't know what the rule is here because he's legitimately going to block the shot.
Yeah.
It's not like it had nothing to do with the play. It was part of the play, but, I mean, it certainly looked like the movement of the rim kicked the ball off.
Richardson explodes to the basket. Will Richardson into double figures. He's got 11. Back to a 1-point game. Huffman's got 18 points. Bailey, a perfect sidekick. He got hit by Timbilla in the face as he went down. And Timbilla, after 2 fouls in the first 3.5 minutes, just got his 3rd.
Certainly good news for Fordham that he lasted most of this half before getting number 3. And you know what? Those are the fouls you want him to give, right? He's going for a block. It's got some energy behind it. It might make Bailey rethink his next move into the paint. The 2 in the first half, he was over-aggressive, left his feet. They were quick. They were unnecessary. That's a good foul, so to speak.
You see Bailey hasn't exactly shot the ball well, but a double-double for Bailey, who on the year is averaging 10 and 5.
Kyle Rose just asking everybody to make noise here for this free throw.
Well, the idea was good. The execution fell just short.
Yeah, the crowd here still doesn't always pick up the cues the way they should. There should have been noise before Kyle asked for it.
Rivera hops into the paint, twisting back to Richardson. Charlton, now Rivera uncorks a triple. Timbilla, offensive rebound. Rivera squares again! Not that time. Logan starts it up for Davidson.
And much like the Huffman conversation, that's definitely a shot Davidson will give up to Josh Rivera. That is not the strong point of his offensive game yet.
Bailey, strong finish for Davidson. They're back up by 5, tied for their biggest lead of the half. Timeout Fordham. That is their second. And Davidson on a nice run here, trying to...
Fordham beat North Texas at Barclays Center at the buzzer. A win that could have propelled them. It didn't. They began Atlantic 10 play with a 3 overtime win at GW and then came home and lost to LaSalle. They bounced back this past weekend. They win at St. Bonaventure. And now here they are at home, trying really for their first extended win streak of the season, and they're down 5 with 5 to go, and they have not made a three-pointer in this second half.
Kyle Rose. Gray gets forced out of the paint, cross court. Richardson has to let it fly. Timbilla went up for it. Gray flies in. It's with the Wildcats. Huffman able to get just enough of the ball to force it off Gray.
And he lost his mouthpiece, and he doesn't know what to do with it since he lost it out of the court, and he decides to put it back in his mouth.
There is over 100 years worth of bacteria on that.
Well, don't forget, this floor is new-ish.
Right.
But he knew it was not a great idea, gave it a rub on his his short leg, and then put it back in.
Fordham showing as much pressure as they have. Huffman, Kuchera, Bailey, Logan against Rose. Timbilla came in from behind. Davidson has the last 5 points. Approaching 4 minutes to go in the Bronx. Gray is all alone. Gray swirls it down. Nearly fell out with Bailey soaring to contest.
Davidson forgot about him for 15 seconds. He was open earlier, didn't get the pass. That time he did.
Cross-court, Huffman throws underneath. Bailey got Timbilla in the air. Bailey again. Now Timbilla got knocked with a foul. Well, Bailey went leaning into Timbilla to try and earn an and one. Referees didn't go for it. The second try, however, gives Timbilla his fourth. Davidson to the line for a pair, up by 3.
For a limited time at Panera, you can get a cup of soup for just $1. A warm cup of soup, that feels good.
Book in the Hotels.com app to find your perfect somewhere.
Plus.
Davidson by 3. They got a couple free throws upcoming with Andrew Bogish, Mike Watson. For whatever reason, after dropping 80 in Olean, Fordham struggling to score nearly enough. 10 turnovers, 0 for 5 from downtown in this second half. Just have not been able to put it together.
18-2 in this building a year ago. 4-5 right now. Down 3, 3:40 to go. I joked with Coach Ergo on his podcast this week that coming off Bonaventure and GW, maybe wear their road uniforms for this one here tonight to get some of the road mojo, and maybe on the road the staff wears pullovers and
Basketball
pants. Athleisure, is that the correct?
Yeah, sure.
And Coach said, well, we can't wear the maroons at home. And he and they wear suits here because Coach promised his parents to honor his dad, who's a Fordham alum, by the way.
Yep.
Might be the second happiest guy that has coached. His son is the coach here.
Yep.
He promised his dad, honors his dad by always wearing a suit here in this gym.
Well, Davidson bring their Sunday best on this Wednesday night. Back up by 5. Gray is headed to the free throw line, and his right hand appears a tad gnarled as he went up for that.
I don't know if his hand...
It might be where his right hand is holding.
Yeah, I think his hand is trying to mask the pain of the lower body collision with Logan.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tough one for Elijah.
And Greg Evans doing Elijah solid, telling him don't rush to the free throw line, but Gray says he's good.
2 for 2 at the line today. Fell off.
It's been a battle for him tonight. He's 2 of 11 from the floor. He does have 10 rebounds, but the unfriendly bounce on that first free throw.
Gray knocks down the ladder. 7 points, 10 boards for the sophomore off the bench tonight. And Davidson's lead skims to 4. Davidson's biggest lead was 8. It was 8-0 right off the bat. Whoa, look at the lob! Thrown down by Bailey. Hoffman with an elite find over the top for the lob and the jam.
I mean, the find might be elite, but the jump was then double elite. Bailey looked like he was going to skim the top of the backboard.
Rivera got it out to Gray for three.
If Josh Rivera didn't walk on that drive, he came as close to walking without walking as possible, and then Gray finally gets Fordham's first three of the half.
Huffman kicks, Bailey, now Kuchera, down the lane, knocked out, right into the hands of Bailey. He left it short, tip out, there goes Richardson. 2.5 minutes to play. Some of this crowd standing now. Gray over to Rose, puts it up. Huffman, ball got knocked away, right to Charlton. Rivera finds Richardson over to Gray for three. And the rebound yanked in by Durkin.
6 of 23.
Rose nearly knocked it out of Huffman's hands and commits his first foul. And will send Davidson to the line for 1-1.
6 of 23 from downtown for Fordham. 3 straight games hitting at least 9. That includes the 19 at GW. This is the one that went down. It's still the only one that's gone down in this second half. Gray couldn't make it from the right wing a second ago, and now these huge Davidson free throws.
Well, it's 1 free throw until it's 2. Grant Huffman, 68% on the season. Jostling his mouth guard. Crowd roaring. Huffman, ice in his veins. 19 points for Huffman, 22 for Reed Bailey. Davidson trying to snap a 3-game skid to start A-10 play. Last time they started 0-3 in conference, they were in the SoCon. Magic and Bird featured in the Final Four that season in the late 1970s. Richardson walks it ahead. Davidson up by 5. Richardson found Gray for the vicious slam. Elijah Gray coming to life down the stretch. Rose knocked it away. Ahead to Tripp. Holmes in on Bailey. Tripp underneath. Missed the lay-in. 100 seconds to go.
There goes trusting Jameer Tripp to be on the floor late in the game.
Foul on Rose as Huffman lost his footing. 1-1 to come.
The freshman's out there. Rose makes the defensive play, but Tripp probably tries for a little too much, and then back on this end, Huffman gets himself back to the free throw line.
The crowd vulgarly explains their opinion, and Huffman trudges back to the line. 3 of 4 at the free throw line today. You see another 20-point performance for Huffman. Back to a 2-possession game with a minute 33.
Davidson had a late lead. They were up 3 in the final minute against GW. Found themselves in overtime and lost the game there. So one of the hurdles they've got to cross here this afternoon, or this evening I should say, is actually getting this one to the finish line. Huffman trying to do that from the line.
Mission accomplished, 2 for 2, back to 5 points. Richardson against Huffman, ball got jostled from his hands. Richardson in a straitjacket, Rose. Charlton reverses, Huffman took it away. Huffman elevates. 6 straight points for Grant Huffman. Timeout Fordham. They're going to burn their full. And Davidson, a 7-point lead with just over a minute to go.
Grant Huffman does everything. And then the possible exclamation point, putting his team up by 7 with 67 seconds left.
You know, you and I were chatting with Matt McKillop. Is there any added urgency at 0-3? And he said there was urgency playing Dayton on our home floor. There was urgency in every game that we've played so far. It doesn't change because we happen to be 0-3. And look at what's coming up for them. St. Louis not having the year that you would anticipate, just took Dayton to the wire here last night. Richmond and VCU both look excellent out of the gates in the Atlantic 10. If you get a win here and you string a couple together, 0-3 doesn't look so bad when you've got a couple wins to balance it out.
Yeah, in typical coach speak, he said we've got to win this game because it's our next game. It's just that simple. 0-3, 3-0, and for the up until right now, his guys have made the plays they've had to make to finally get their first league win. They hung with Dayton. They could have beaten, should have beaten Rhode Island, could have beaten, should have beaten George Washington, didn't. And now tonight, we said it, they might have gotten burned by not being farther ahead in the first half with Fordham starting so poorly, but they have rebounded, to say the least, here late, putting their foot down to have this lead as opposed to the Rams making one last surge.
Fordham started in an 8-0 hole, ended up leading at halftime, and Davidson has largely led the entirety of the second half, but never by more than 5 till now. Richardson way off the mark. Logan the rebound entangled with Gray. And Davidson will shoot free throws, and if they can do that well enough, this will be 1-1. They'll be walking out of here with a prime victory over this 2-1 Fordham team.
Fordham came into this game, Mike, over their last 5, taking out the extra time at George Washington, averaging almost 82 points per game. Over their last 3, they were shooting 40% from downtown. Tonight, they're just across 60 points. They're shooting 34% total, and they're 6 of 25 from 3. They only made 1 3 in the second half, and after 2 first-half turnovers, they're on 11 here in the second half, and none bigger than that Charlton throwaway that led to Huffman's dunk.
Keith Urgo looks on. Logan ensures that Davidson converts the front end of every set of free throws they had in the second half. He misses the second. 8-point game out of the hands of Gray. Everybody's plays. Possession would be with Fordham on a jump ball, and it is. So that's really the last lifeline Fordham's going to get here. Nearly turned it over again. Fordham, 11 second half turnovers. And they rebounded off just a brutal shooting start to shoot 20 of 48 in the remaining 35 minutes of this game. But it doesn't look nearly enough at the moment. Richardson, that's good. Makes it a 5-point game and gives a ray of hope to the fans assembled with 48 and 6/10 remaining.
Very good at protecting the basketball. Just 11 giveaways so far here tonight, but it only takes 1 to flip this game back into a more favorable Fordham setup. But the Rams will tell you that they should just not be in this situation. Next time up, we're back with you here Saturday afternoon. Loyola Chicago, I believe, making their first visit, at least obviously as an Atlantic 10 member.
Yep.
Because they only played in Chicago a year ago, then on the road, and then the first of 2 with Duquesne on the road as well. Much like the Davidson schedule, those are wins, those are losses.
Yeah.
The Atlantic 10 is that tough, it's that deep. These teams are also that inconsistent that they're going to win games that you didn't think they were going to, and they're going to lose games you didn't think that they were going to lose.
Well, Andrew, I think everyone's excited you'll be calling that game on Saturday.
By everyone, you mean my mom.
Inbound is in, there's
and
the
my
foul.
mom. That's everybody.
Well, I'm just saying relative to the Fordham fan experience last year for the Fordham Loyola Chicago game, should be a really enjoyable broadcast. Well, there's the foul, and Reed Bailey will try and make this a 3-possession game once more. If he misses either of these, suddenly this could get really interesting. But it will be 2 shots now with Fordham's 10th team foul. That's Gray's 4th, by the way.
Keith Urgo is now pointing out to the officials that Davidson has only committed 4 fouls in the second half. His team has committed 10.
Well, Bailey's now 11 of 11 at the free throw line tonight. He's good, 75% on the season, but extraordinary.
And now
54 points.
Yeah, 48 of the 72 Davidson points from 2 guys.
Richardson, no. Charlton off his knee. There's the rebound. There's the foul on Durkin. And Davidson will walk down the floor on the foul by Riley to...
Then against Columbia, we saw a bunch of them here tonight. Some poor shooting, some costly turnovers, fouls here in the second half. Put them all together, and beating anybody in this league is going to be tough, home or away.
And now the question is to Medor's status going forward. Dean, third time's the charm with the tip in with 28.9. Fordham get a steal here. Ball's in. Cochera swinging wildly. He's going to have to try and dribble through. There's a foul. And Davidson had a timeout. It's Rose that commits the foul.
Knocking down their free throws in this second half, and particularly late, to make sure Fordham doesn't get too close.
Just the one miss by Durkin. Other than that, it's been exemplary from Davidson at the line to close this out. Music to Wildcat fans' ears. A foul from Logan sends Richardson.
And Keith Ergo is still chirping about that. But Mike, I'd have to go back and watch. I don't know many times where it looked like there should have been a foul called. They were letting things go on the defensive end for Fordham that the Rams had been called for in the past. There was more angry Matt McKillop in this second half than Keith Ergo.
Inbound to Cochera. Charlton stepped in front. Charlton's fourth. Davidson will go back down. I think we're going to hit the over.
On time?
Yeah, that's it. Well, sometimes officials seem like they're dashing for Arthur Avenue. It does not feel that way at this juncture.
To charge Fordham a timeout. Matt McKillop's upset.
Well, and they're out of timeouts. If we're going to have that, then offer attack. Right? The timeout that, you don't have, so to speak. But
that was certainly they thought Antrell had fouled out. Right. And were calling folks over to talk in a timeout that was supposed to stop being given, by the way. That was
1 for 2. Well, it needs to be just about perfect from here. Richardson knocked away by Huffman, thrown out of bounds.
So Huffman's going to throw a block on his stat line tonight just for good measure. 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and now a block. And 1 dirty mouthpiece.
Yeah. Get it in. Durkin throws it ahead with 4. Logan gives off. Cochera will score it, and a foul with .2. And you got to think that that's going to be something remembered down the line. Fordham will go to Davidson on February the 20th for the return of the home and home.
And Kyle's still chirping because, you know what? He's allowed to go play defense if Davidson's going to still play offense. And then Cochera gave a clap. So Rose followed him to the free throw line talking. Josh Rivera got involved as well. Jeff Clark is now directing people to their spot along the line. Richardson and Huffman are still talking.
He scores the and 1. He's got a season, 18 here, Cochera. 5 off his season high. Keith Ergo's already trying to shake hands. That's the ball game. 79-6.